All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you see this is when you're supposed to see it. We're going to take a look and see what's coming through for you for the end of the week. So as always, take what resonates, leave what does not. Your spirit guides are welcome to commune with my spirit guides. I invite them in. But you have made it to Friday, so congratulations, you made it through another week. I feel like this week has been a lot of hard truths. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like this week has been a lot of hard truths. So, as you wind down for the week, hopefully things are starting to mull themselves over. But I really want to take a moment and say thank God it's Friday. What a week. What an absolute week. All right. I hope you're comfortable. That was odd. Underneath we have Observer. That's Aquarian energy coming through. Past energy we've got Orphaned. Future energy we have New Life. Yeah. I feel like the old cycles are closing. The one thing I notice here, notice how similar these two cards look, except one doesn't look so good, and the other one looks glorious. I'm hearing Dawn of a New Day. Well, how that resonates for me, in a way that hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So every day is a new day for me. Every day is a new day. No matter what happened yesterday or what happened, during the week, every day is a new day. How I say it is every day is a new day to fuck shit up in a different way. But with this energy, we were talking about earlier this week, kind of taking a step back, and that's what I feel like you guys have done. You've taken a step back, and I feel as though that you've gone from this, seeing things, from a shitty perspective, that I'm not blaming you, but kind of the nonsense that you were dealing with, it's almost as though you have reclaimed your own power. And in doing so, you have started a new chapter, a new version of you. We've been talking about this for a while. This is not really anything new. What's going on underneath? Underneath, we've got Ask Body. Okay. The Alchemist. Absolutely. Get Creative. I mean, underneath as well. First, I want to let you guys know that you really need to be listening to your body right now. Like right now, I know my body is dehydrated. I can feel it. So make sure that you are listening to your body, not only your intuition, right? Really make sure that you are intaking the things that you need to be getting for yourself. But with the Alchemist and Get Creative, it's very interesting that these appear like this. Because with Orphaned, we have the Alchemist, and that's transforming one thing into another, right? And on this side, we have New Life and Get Creative. So the universe is really asking you to break the mold here. Really take a step back. Really start asking yourself, what do I need? What is it that you need right now that is going to help you transition from this orphaned into this new life? And, I can hear somebody's spirit guide. It's almost kind of like nagging. It is. It's almost kind of like nagging. But they're like, I listen to my body, or, I do this. I feel like this goes, a step further than, just the nutrients. It goes a step further just with the intake of what's happening with your body. Um, really dive deep. Really dive deep and ask yourself what you need right now. And, you know, really go through the layers of it all. You know, physically, what do you need? Emotionally, what do you need? Mentally, what do you need? And, you know, magically, what do you need? You know, what does your intuition need? What does your energy need? What does your vibration need in order to help you to, you know, transition forward? So try not to keep it basic, but really get in there, really get into detail, right? Underneath we've got the Hierophant. He's shown up a few times this week. The Five of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, and the King of Cups. Yeah, I feel like during this transition, you know, during you, you know, going from orphaned to new life, I feel like is when inspiration really hits, right? I feel like that's when inspiration really hits you, and you end up with this King of Cups. You end up in this energy of emotion. I keep seeing on my Facebook, for some reason, and I don't know why, but it's all about asking yourself the deep questions. And they seem like simple questions, but the longer you sit with them, the more emotional you become. And that could very well be, you know, oh, look, there's the Lovers. There's that Balance. There's the Queen of Wands. Yeah. They do seem like simple questions at first, but the more you think about it, you know, it's like, what is one thing that you could tell your past self? You right now, if there was one thing that you could tell your sixth grade self, or your ninth grade self, or even hell, you from 5 years ago. What is one thing, if you could sit down and have one conversation about one subject, what would it be? And, you know, some people come up with, you know, basic answers. And then the more you think about those answers, you know, the more that you realize that there could be trauma there. There could be something there that you needed to hear that you didn't hear. But it's almost kind of like triggering emotional responses that maybe you didn't know you had. Let's see where else we're going. Three of Cups, Ten of Wands, Nine of Pentacles. Yeah. Grounding is the Seven of Swords. Guiding is an Ace of Pentacles. Okay. Past energy is the Knight of Swords. Future energy is the Eight of Pentacles. Look, 8 plus 1 is the Nine of Pentacles. Interesting. Four of Pentacles, Six of Swords, Knight of Cups, and the outcome is Judgment. There are new choices to be made here. There are new choices to be made. I am curious, though. You know me, I'm always curious. The Star. Yeah, that's healing. Healing. The World, Endings, New Beginnings, Eight of Wands, and the Nine of Wands. Along with the Wheel of Fortune. Jesus. Okay. I wanted to ask about this work here. With the Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, how do we get there? Right? Because, you know, I see, you know, things starting to fall into place for you. Three of Cups. I see a support system here. I also see movement forward, you know, moving away from the energy that didn't feel so good. You're transmuting that and moving forward. But I wanted to know about this Nine of Pentacles, because that's the next hurdle, right? Like, it comes up for me as the next hurdle. And, you know, what's guiding you is the Ace of Pentacles, and where you're going is more work. It's the Eight of Pentacles, it's physical work. So I asked about this work. You know, 8 plus 1 is 9. I asked about how this all fits together. How do what's guiding you and where you're going help you with this hurdle? And it's the communication of healing, the star, and endings and new beginnings, right? Um, at first, this may not seem, like I said, like it's a major impact, right? Until it is. Nine of Wands, Wheel of Fortune. It's very difficult to pin down. It's kind of like shadow work, but it's not. I mean, some of you could be doing shadow work, but it's like the thing that starts out small. It starts out itty bitty. It's just a small change, right? It's a small change, and all of a sudden, a small change leads to another change that leads to another change that leads to another change, and you hadn't quite realized the domino effect this was going to have. I'm seeing a snowball, right? It's going to snowball. I really feel as though some of you are holding on to something. Holding on to something that's like this, Four of Pentacles. It could be physical, tangible. You know, a person, a place, an object. Could also be money. But when you move away from that, you know, that's when offers and things start to come in. You know, that's when the emotional side can start to come through. I do feel as though your angels and spirit guides are here helping you, but they're waiting because they show up at the end. They show up at the end when a new choice is meant to be had, right? It's like they're letting you figure this out for yourself before they intervene. I'm not saying that divine intervention isn't on your side. I'm saying that it's almost like a kid learning new things. Yeah. It's almost like a kid learning new things. As a parent, you know, you want to do things for your kids, right? In a scenario, you were the kid. Just letting you know. And, the universe wants you to figure this out. Right? They want to give you this opportunity to figure it out before they start to step in. Five of Swords. That was here on Wednesday. Page of Pentacles. Yeah. Four of Wands. They want you to succeed. Five of Wands. What's underneath? And the King of Wands. Now we have the King and Queen of Wands. Now I'm seeing Hercules. The Disney. Not the Disney. I'm seeing Hercules. How he had to go through all, you know, those trials. I'm also seeing Phil. But he had to go through all of those trials, you know, before he came out on the other side. And, you know, those small changes, that small work that he did every day, you know, made a really big impact on him in the long run, right? On him in the long run. This is, I almost feel as though that there is a hole. Can you tell me about that? Seven of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles. That gives me the Nine of Pentacles again. Page of Wands, and the Tower. Along with the Magician. It's not going to fill in the gap here. But what it's telling me is that your self-worth and self-esteem are important in this endeavor. That there are actually many ways to get to where you're going. It's not just one solution fits all. There are many solutions with this, and you need to find the one that works for you. What can you transmute? What can you change? Because after you move through this, I feel like the sky is the limit. New life, get creative. And you know, maybe that's why there are multiple paths here, is because you need to get creative with this. Seven of Swords. Under ask body. There could be a little white lie here that you're telling yourself that needs to be addressed. Because this is the only card that I haven't touched. It's the only one here that I haven't touched. Is the Seven of Swords. It's almost like I looked everywhere else but right here. There could be something that you are not willing to address because of whatever reason. Because it's too hard to look at, you know, you moved away from it, Seven of Swords, you tried to sneak away from this. I feel like now it is come back to handle. It's almost like this is the final thing before you get to move forward. Zodiac signs that I see, we have fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag. We do have fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius. Individual, we've got Aquarius, Virgo, Aries, Libra, Taurus, Pisces, Gemini, Scorpio, and I believe that's everybody. This is something else today. That's all I'm going to say. But thank you guys very much for joining me. As always, your company is well appreciated, as well as your spirit guides. Hopefully you all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there if you're getting the weird weather. But yeah, until next time, guys, until next week, you guys take care, and I will see you all later. Bye for now.